Well, everyone, we are at the future home of Ayton Performance Systems. I looked in the car. There is no back seat.
No.
How would I get in this car?
Very carefully.
It's been a long time since I've been in the front seat of a car, and I don't know if I ever will be again. Ayton is one of the leading race car motor design firms in the world, Ayton, and it's also one of the more than 50 organizations that have enrolled in New York City's Brownfield cleanup program since we launched it last year. Before work began in February to transform the site, it was, like so many other brownfield properties in the city, a vacant, blighted, and polluted eyesore that has remained cut off from development for decades. And this particular site has been vacant since 1985. But starting next summer, Ayton Performance will begin designing their award-winning high-performance engines right where we are standing, or actually, I guess, right behind where we're standing. New York City, as you know, is known as a global leader in fields ranging from fashion to finance, tourism to tech startups, and biosciences to film and TV production. And now we can add the design of IndyCar racing engines to the growing list of things that are made in New York. So you might say this is Silicon Alley meeting Gasoline Alley. And it's another example of how, when it comes to creating jobs, our administration has the pedal to the metal. I thought we'd get a better laugh out of that. It's a bit tough thing. Our administration has made reclaiming brownfields, as you know, a top priority. It is one of the central goals of our PlaNYC sustainability agenda. Through the Brownfield Cleanup Program, the nation's first city-run program of its kind, we are providing incentives and liability protection to developers willing to undertake cleanups and redevelop these formerly neglected spaces. And that's a win for neighborhoods that have seen brownfields bring down property values and public safety for far too long. It is also good news for our economy. For years, the threat of future legal liability has often discouraged developers from cleaning up brownfields, even though they had no role in polluting those areas in the first place. But by acting responsibly and meeting state cleanup standards, they can now reduce their legal liability. And that will give developers the confidence they need to make investments and go forward with projects that will create the jobs, housing, and open spaces our growing city needs. You should know that since the program started, we've enrolled 53 projects. Together, these projects will generate over $1.5 billion in private investment and construction, create more than 2,100 permanent jobs, and 5,100 construction jobs. Way to go. There we go. So this is what New York is all about. A chance for everybody to express themselves, even if it means taking away others' rights to express themselves. I have no idea what she's talking about. If anybody does afterwards, I'll be happy to take a question on it. The Brownfield Cleanup Program may be run by the city, but the program's success is thanks to the hard work and dedication of partners in federal and state government, as well as many private and nonprofit groups that are joining with us to transform these properties. And I'd just like to take a couple minutes to update you on our progress. First, to develop this program, we worked with leaders in the City Council and the State Department of Environmental Conservation to ensure that cleanups would meet the very highest standards. We assembled a staff of scientists and engineers to oversee these cleanups, and we created a formal certification program so that New Yorkers will know that the new sites are safe. When Ayton Performance completes its cleanup work here next month, they'll receive formal NYC Green Property certification and a plaque to show that their new property is one of the most environmentally safe in our city. We also work closely with our partners in the community to zero in on the neighborhoods that would most benefit from brownfield cleanup and redevelopment. Approximately 70% of the approved cleanup and development properties are in low-income communities, including neighborhoods in North and Central Brooklyn, the South Bronx, Washington Heights, and Harlem. Second, to help cover some of the added costs of investigating and cleaning up brownfield sites, we established the New York City Brownfields Incentive Grant Program, also known as NYC BIG, B-I-G. Ayton Performance received a grant of approximately $6,000 to help cover environmental investigation costs, and the project is eligible to receive combined grants for investigation and cleanup of roughly $85,000, and I'm glad to announce that the United States Environmental Protection Agency recently awarded the city $650,000 to help turn around more sites like the ones that we're visiting today. We intend to use that funding for cleanup projects in predominantly low-income communities across New York, and I would like to thank EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson for her leadership in this critical area. Third, in partnership with the State Department of Environmental Conservation and Commissioner Joe Martins, we provided environmental liability protection for developers who enroll in the program. As I mentioned, liability protection is essential to encourage developers to commit the resources necessary to transform these properties. Our original agreement with the state was to provide this coverage to developers who enroll during the program's first 2 years, and today I'm glad to announce that the state has agreed to extend that partnership for an additional 4 years to 2016. It shows the confidence I think the state has in our cleanup program and the commitment they're making to ensure that this important work continues. Fourth and finally, we launched an effort to let developers know that we were committed to working with them at every step to transform these spaces. That included creating an online real estate search engine called SPEED, S-P-E-E-D, to help developers find vacant sites. More than 1.5 million visitors have used the website since its launch 21 months ago, and we expect that number to keep growing. The Brownfields Cleanup Program is one of the great success stories to come out of PlaNYC, and this project, I think, is a terrific example of what this program can do to improve our neighborhoods, support businesses, and grow our economy. It's also a great example of what the public and private sector can do to improve people's lives when we work together. And with that, I'd like to invite some of the leaders whose partnership has been so important to this program's success to share a few words. The first is Dr. Dan Walsh. He is the director of our Office of Environmental Remediation, which is responsible for designing and operating the city Brownfield cleanup program. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg, and good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to take a minute to recognize the outstanding cleanup work being done at this property by Ethan Bregman and Ayton Performance and his environmental team, PW Grosser. Ethan chose to develop a site with environmental challenges. He could have found a much easier property to develop, but instead he chose to voluntarily work with city government and enroll in the city Brownfield cleanup program. And like over 50 other developers in New York City in all 5 boroughs that are now enrolled in that program, Ethan showed confidence that government could work with him as a partner, achieving high-quality cleanups while also meeting his tight development timelines. Ethan and his cleanup project now is a tremendous success. It will exceed the state's strictest cleanup standards. It will earn environmental liability protection. And importantly, the cleanup process did not delay the project. Project by project, public sector confidence in the Brownfield cleanup program is growing stronger. As it does, more and more developers are taking on challenging sites like this one. And one day, we will achieve Mayor Bloomberg's PlaNYC goal of cleaning up all contaminated land in New York City. Now, I'd just like to conclude by thanking Commissioner Joe Martins and Regional Director Venetia Lannon of State DEC, who've been so helpful in assisting us to deliver the highest quality environmental cleanups in this program. Thank you.
Dan, thank you. Next, I'd like to invite the Regional Director of the state's Department of Environmental Conservation, Venetia Lannon, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the state's part. Venetia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It is a pleasure to be here again. I'm Venetia Lannon, the Regional Director from the state's Department of Environmental Conservation, or DEC. DEC's mission is to not only to conserve New York State's resources and protect its lands and waters from pollution, but also to maintain the social and economic well-being of the people of the state of New York. And I think there is no clearer nexus between environmental protection and cleanup and economic development than brownfields, because you can't get to a groundbreaking until pollution is remediated and controlled. And we're very proud to have 107 sites in our brownfield cleanup program since 2004, the state's program. We've completed 40 of them. And many of them are some of the most, some of the signature environmental development projects of the mayor's administration, whether they're Bronx Terminal Market or the East River Plaza on the East River of Manhattan, or to our north, the Queens West development sites. Those were all contaminated and polluted sites that, thanks to the state's Brownfield program, are now in productive economic use. I think what's significant today is to celebrate our agreement with the city that allows the city to take some of the more lightly contaminated sites, like the one we have behind us, and really move them quickly through the system. And that kind of efficiency and responsiveness to customers, and to understand that in the public sector that there are jobs and tax dollars on the line when we're just what we may be thinking of pushing paper. There are consequences to not moving quickly. And so I congratulate the city on its program. We look forward to partnering with you, and congratulations to Ayton on what hopefully will be a bright future in Brooklyn.
Venetia, thank you. Ethan Bregman is the owner of Ayton Performance Systems. His engines, you should know, have won national and world championships. And Ethan, before you speak, I have something for you. Either I'm giving this to you or you're giving this to me. I think I'm giving it to you. It is from the New York City's Mayor's Office of Environmental Remediation, a green property certified 2012. Don't drop it on your toe. It would put you out of the motor business for a while. Anyways, I'll put it back here after we get a picture. We get a picture, everybody? It is hard. Hang on. There you go.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. It's an honor to have you here, Your Honor. I'd like to get the very deserving thanks out of the way and then speak a little bit about why I decided to do this project. Firstly, I need to thank Dan Walsh at the Mayor's Office of Environmental Remediation. I can't really express how delightful they have been to work with. And yes, I just said delightful in referring to a city agency. Dan and his team have made themselves available to me at every moment. They've given me a sense from day one that not only do they really want this project to succeed, but they understand the deadlines, challenges, and fears a property developer faces, and a first-time one at that. And all this for, by development standards, what's a very small site. For the design, consulting, and construction, I need to thank PW Grosser, Carmi B. and Keith Engel at RKT&B, Boris Saratovsky at Boss Associates. From the racing world, I need to thank White Lightning Racing, which has the winningest single chassis in the history of GT2 racing. I also need to thank Rick and Richard Mulcahy for having the good sense to buy the car when it retired and put it on display. Honda Racing for letting me be a very small part of this year's Indy 500 winning engine design. Ben Lozano at Lozano Brothers Porting, Gary Nelson and the France family at NASCAR, Alvin Springer and Henry Sue at Porsche Motorsport, and Mike Johnson at Archangel Motorsports. Lastly, of course, to Mom and Dad for believing in me. Now that I've used up most of my time, the interesting question of why would someone want to build a race shop in New York City? Or specifically, why not Charlotte or Detroit or Indy? But that's exactly the point. I was 6 years old when I told my mom I wanted to build cars for a living, and I've fought tooth and nail since then to find a way to do that. I'm building this project because when I grew up here, there wasn't a race shop for me to go in and offer to sweep the floors or find a mentor. And the opportunity to bring that back to New York was just too good to pass up. This location is perfect because racing engines are a niche product. Very expensive, built in small numbers, and if you're looking around Brooklyn today, you'll see a lot of innovators with a similar business plan. Hand-built, meticulously designed products made by people who really care, who are doing it not the easy way, but the right way. Here in Williamsburg, I'm surrounded by those people and can interact and work with them every day. Here in Williamsburg, I'm just down the block from the city's automotive high school, so I have a great venue to give back in thanks for the opportunities I've been given. Here in Williamsburg, I have access to passionate race fans from around the globe who've moved to New York to follow their dreams but still want to be a part of racing. Here in Williamsburg, I can prove that New York is not only about Wall Street, but about the ability to follow our hearts and use our minds and hands to create physical, technological wonders that can go on to compete and to win on the world stage. And most importantly, here in Williamsburg, I can lay down strong roots to continue to be a part of the city where I was born and a city that has given me so much already. I cannot think of a better place to grow my business, and I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg and City Hall for recognizing the passion I put into this project and making it possible. Thank you.
Ethan, good luck, and I think it's just another affirmation of what I keep saying. If intellectual competency is part of your business plan, New York is the place where the most is available. Whether it's designing engines or designing a social media website or making a movie. New York's specialty is providing smart people who want to compete with the best and have their minds open to ideas from all over the world. And that's what's necessary in, I think, virtually every business. And I think just this is another good example. You have to open your mind and realize just why people come to here. They don't do it for any reason other than it's a great place to live, great place to work, and the people that they need think so as well. Borough President Marty Markowitz has been an important partner in this effort, and I'd like him to share a few words. Marty?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Ethan, I got to tell you, at 6 years old, I wasn't dreaming about building car engines. I was dreaming about becoming a great pitcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And at 10 years old, I wanted to be Elvis Presley. Obviously, one of us is going to reach their dreams, that's for sure. So anyway, when you think you've heard it all, Mayor, you haven't. That's all I can tell you. But let me commend, of course, Mayor Bloomberg, once again in coordination with Dr. Daniel Walsh, the nation's guru on brownfield cleanups, had the extraordinary vision to streamline the process for developers and property owners to take on cleanup efforts with the nation's first municipally run brownfield cleanup program. Venetia, Lannon, thank you, from Department of Environmental Conservation. And Ethan, I don't know what to tell you, except that we're in good hands with our young people. By the way, his presentation about Williamsburg, I want you to know that my job is open within a year and a half. Okay, a little less than a year and a half, but you have to move to Brooklyn first. So we got you here halfway, and then once you're fully operational, then we hope that you make the big move here as well. Now here in Brooklyn, New York City's economic engine, we're, Mayor, firing on all cylinders and racing along to the checkered flag. Throughout Brooklyn, innovative companies like Ayton Performance are breathing new life into our borough historic manufacturing legacy. And by the way, not to mention, you probably don't know this, the racing history, because in Brooklyn from 1915 until 1919, just a little before the mayor's time, cars used to race on the Sheepshead Bay racetrack, and that's true, by the way. When this facility is complete, we'll even have more jobs, good jobs, where Brooklynites can work with their hands. And it's my hope that the styling and all that, as important as it is, I hope will also lead to manufacturing aspects as well. But there's no doubt that with Brooklynites at work and Ayton's engineering brilliance, these engines will satisfy even the greatest adrenaline junkies' need for speed. Not only that, the City Brownfield program is creating new opportunities for businesses to take advantage of prime real estate across the city. They say you can't make more land, but here in New York, we're proving them wrong. The Brownfield program only began in 2011, but it's already kicked into high gear with 50 projects, and when cleanup efforts are completed, there'll be roughly 4.8 million square feet for development, and that means jobs, jobs, jobs. In the meantime, watch out, because when this facility is up and running, the styling and design will be Brooklyn tough, that will be pumping out plenty of Brooklyn swag. Thank you all very, very much. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Marty, thank you. Before opening the floor to questions, let me just summarize for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers. Nuestra ciudad va a limpiar más de 50 zonas industriales abandonadas a través de la ciudad. Así vamos a crear más trabajos y viviendas. And with that, I'll be